Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are diving into the world of AWS S3. So S3 is a foundational AWS service and understanding how it works is crucial for anyone working with cloud storage. So let's delve deep into this S3 and I will make you understand every bit of uh, things that are there associated with S3 and until the video ends, you will be basically an expert in S3. Okay, so let's start. So what is S3? So basically, it is a highly scalable and object storing service that is offered by AWS, right? And it will basically allow you to store and retrieve data of any type, any size. It can be like a large PDF, it can be a text file, it can be a PPT, it can be a zip file, it can be anything. Okay, so this makes it a perfect solution for storing, managing, and serving various types of data. Now, what are the key concepts that you should be aware of? Right? So there are three things that you should be aware of. One is bucket. So a bucket is like a top level container, or I would say a jar, which is basically a storage compartment for your objects, right? So think of it as a high level folder that stores your data, right? Now, let's talk about what are objects. So, objects are fundamental entities that are stored inside your S3 bucket. They can be anything, right? They can be files, they can be images of PNG, JPG type of images, they can be videos, they can be your Python script, they can be your different documents, and they also one thing that you should all remember that S3 can be used for unstructured as well as structured data. Yes, so you can even store structured data in S3, right? I know we use RDS for it, but we can also store structured data in S3 and we can query the data by using Athena. I will come into Athena and all in the later part of videos, or maybe we'll get it after some time. But yeah, you should always remember this. And then there is a third thing that is storage class. So basically, S3 has different storage classes. It offers storing classes like standard, intelligent tiering, glacier, and there are other things also, right? So this is basically provided to you so that you can optimize your cost and you can increase your performance depending on your use cases, right? So I will explain more about this storage classes as we proceed in this video. Yeah. So now let's see the data lifecycle and storage classes, right? So as you saw that we have different storage classes, right? So the first one is the standard storage, and this is the most widely used S3 bucket, I would say. And this is what we are gonna see in this video. I will create a bucket for you, a standard storage solution for you where you can upload your files of any type, and you'll be able to see how we can move through or walk through it, right? So this standard storage is basically designed for frequently accessed data. Maybe you are using it to store your temporary files, or maybe your web application logs, or maybe you are storing your files in S3 and accessing those via web application. So this standard storage comes in handy, and it makes it ideal for frequently accessing the files or objects. Okay, and then we have the intelligent tiering. So if you can guess from the name, it has the intelligent, that means it can automatically scale up and scale down. What I mean by it is, it is a storage class that you are going to use if you want to optimize your cost, right? If you don't know that my data will be accessible frequently or it will be accessible infrequently, or there is a pattern to your frequency, right? So you can always use intelligent tiering for those kind of situation. So what it does is basically move the objects automatically between two access tiers based on the changing access patterns, right? So let's say you can configure that. So let's say you want to move your objects in a bucket to Glacier, right? After 180 days. So let's say an object is there in your standard storage, and if that object is not accessed for 180 days, you can move it directly to Glacier. But here's the catch: you don't have to do it manually. Then, if you have selected intelligent tiering, then it will do it for you. Okay. Now let's get to another type of storage class, that is one zone IA. So basically, one zone IA stores data in a single availability zone, and this makes it cost effective as it is only available in a single availability zone. And this is basically made for those where objects are accessed infrequently. Okay, so you can go ahead by creating a one zone IA bucket for your use case if it is infrequently accessed, right? And then comes the Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive. So the most widely, I would say, it is most widely used for archiving your data. I will give you an example. Let's say any web application is getting decommissioned, and you need to store your data for audit purposes, right? Or you need to store your data for future use cases, right? But then you don't know where to store it, because if you store it in Google Drive or some other storage places, then it will incur you a huge cost, right? And and when you want to retrieve those data, you have to think of some logic to retrieve those data, right? But AWS has provided you Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive, uh, and this basically acts as an archival storage, I would say, or a long term storage for the data that you have, right? So what it does is it stores your data for a certain period of time, so that you can lower your cost, and then when you want to retrieve the data, you can retrieve it. You can put a request to retrieve it, and after maybe 6 hours, or depending on the constant that you have, you can retrieve the data from Glacier, right? So without further ado, we are going to see a demo of how to create a S3 bucket. Yeah, okay, let's see. Okay, so now I'm gonna create a bucket for you, so you can follow my steps here, and you can create your own bucket right now. So go on and click on create bucket. So after clicking on create bucket, you will be able to see this kind of page. Here you need to enter your bucket name, and also to specify these buckets are on global level. So if you go to any other services like Lambda or Glue or any other services, those are basically hosted on a certain region, right? So if you see here, there are certain regions, right? So US East, US West, Asia Pacific. But if you see for S3, it's global, right? So that means S3 bucket is globally hosted. And also, you need to keep your bucket name unique one, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and create a bucket for me. Okay. Now it will give you an error if that bucket already exists with the same name, right? And then here is an optional option for you. If you don't wanna spend so much time in creating a bucket by doing some configurations, but you already have some existing bucket, So there you might have made some configuration and you want the same configuration in this bucket, then you can go ahead and copy the settings from that existing bucket to this bucket. Okay, so you don't need to configure it once again. So you can choose your bucket according to your requirement, right? So now there is something called object ownership, right? So here you can enable your ACL and or you can disable your ACL. So basically, S3 allows you to define who can access your buckets and objects within it using ACLs, right? So ACLs are basically a set of rules that specify which AWS account or which user group have permission to perform any action on a specific resource, right? So you can enable and disable it according to your own requirement, but for now, I'm gonna disable it. And then here you will see if you want to block all public access, right? So if you are creating an S3 bucket and you are not making it internet facing, then you can go ahead and enable this block all public access so that it is not accessible from any outside source, right? And then you can also enable or disable bucket versioning. So let's say you want to keep different files with the same name in your S3 bucket, right? So if you enable it, S3 will allow you to store different files with the same name. But if you disable it, you can't store different files with the same name. So whenever you are uploading a different file with the same name, it will just overwrite it, right? So for now, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna disable it. And then if we come to encryption, so basically S3 offers you three types of encryption. So encryption would be happening in transit, or encryption would be happening at rest, or encryption would be happening at your client side, right? So S3 automatically encrypts data in transit between your computer and the S3 service, right, using SSL or TLS encryption. But if you want to enable any other encryption, then you can go ahead and enable server-side encryption for data at rest. So AWS offers different server-side encryption options. You can see here AWS SSE S3, SSE KMS, and DSSE KMS, right? And then there is also another type of encryption, that is client-side encryption, right? So if needed, you can also perform client-side encryption before uploading data to S3. So it will give you a complete control over the encryption keys, right? So for now, I'm gonna just go ahead and select this SSE S3 for now. But if you want to encrypt by using a KMS key, then you can go ahead and select this one. You have to create a KMS key for your own. If you already have a KMS key, then you can go ahead and paste the ARN of that KMS key right here. Okay. But for now, I'm selecting this SSE S3. Uh, and then if you go to this advanced setting, so you will see something called object lock, right? So what does this mean is if you want to save your object, or if you want to lock your object from getting deleted or from getting overwritten, then you can just go ahead and enable it, right? So it will permanently allow that object in the bucket to be locked. So you can't delete or you can't override that one. But for now, I am disabling it, and then I'm going to click on create bucket. So here, if you see, my bucket has been created. Now, if I enter into my bucket, here you can upload your data. So if you have the access to AWS console and you manually want to upload the file or any folder, you can just go ahead and click on upload. Then you can upload any file or you can upload a direct folder to this S3 bucket. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a file to it. So I'm gonna upload this PDF, okay? And then I'm gonna click on upload. So if you see upload succeeded, now if I see my PDF file is in the bucket. Okay, so you can upload any type of file here. You can upload a zip file or your image file, or maybe your structured data, and also you can do it programmatically. So if you use Python, you can use a Vol.2 library to connect to S3, and you can upload a file or a folder according to your need programmatically if you don't have the access to AWS console. Now if we see more properties, so if you see here, we have the intelligent tiering archive configuration, right? So as I told before, you can move your objects to Glacier or any other storage class if it is infrequently accessed or it has not been accessed for more than 90 days or 180 days. You can move it to different storage class. So for that, you can go ahead and create your configuration. Just give a name to something. So I'm gonna give it Glacier config, and then I'm gonna keep it what is the default, and then I'm gonna give a prefix to it. So maybe I can give a prefix archive, and then keeping it as it is, and then you have to select what action it has to perform, right? So you can archive the data to archive access tier, or you can archive the data to deep archive access tier. Maybe I'm just saying that you can move it to Glacier or Glacier deep archive. Okay. So I'm gonna select deep archive access tier. So it is asking for the days until transition to the deep archive access tier, right? So I'm gonna keep it 180 days. So that means if any object is not being accessed for 180 days, it will automatically be moved to Glacier deep archive. So I'm gonna go ahead and create this one. Okay, so it is saying the name can contain only letters, so maybe I can remove this space and go on and create. Okay, so now you can see it has been created. So if I go to bucket, if I go to properties, I'm gonna see that the configuration has been created. So let's say this PDF is not accessed for 180 days, then it will automatically move to Glacier deep archive, right? So now let's go ahead and see what is there in permissions. So this I already explained. So yeah, so you can create your own bucket policy. It is a customized policy that you can create for your own bucket. Uh, okay, there is nothing else here. If I go to metrics, so yeah, so basically this helps you in logging or analyzing any activity on your S3, right? So if you enable logging, uh, so it will record all requests that has been made to your bucket and objects, right? So this will help you track and analyze access patterns and if there are any potential security threats. So you can use CloudRail integrations for that one. Uh, though like AWS CloudTrail will provide you detailed logs of all the AWS API actions. So if you integrate S3 with CloudTrail, then it will allow you to monitor who accessed your S3 resources and what actions they performed, right? Uh, okay. And there you have it, a comprehensive guide to AWS S3. So I've covered the basics from what S3 is to creating buckets, uploading objects, securing your data, and optimizing cost. So if you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more AWS tutorials and cloud computing insights. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.